forced you to have sex with her for 14 years?
The whole 14 years wasn't bad. I only had started having problems 3 years ago.
Okay. But that wasn't my question. She forced you to have sex with you over the past 3 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's your testimony alleging she raped you? Is that what you're saying now? She forced you to have sex with you. That's rape. Is that what you're alleging now?
I didn't consent to all the sex we had.
About how big are you? About how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay. Taller than her, right?
Yes.
Stronger than her, right?
Yes.
Bigger than her, right? Yeah. Yes. But it's your testimony she continuously forced you to have sex with her against your will, right?
Yes.
How many of those times that you were raped did you report it to police?
0.
Okay. All right.
Represented by Mr. Spiesman, and Mr. Griffin is represented by Ms. Feynman-Sowers. We will proceed in position 14 first on this case of Mr. Griffin's. The stalking petition was filed on July 14th of 2023. An ex parte order was issued on July 18th and filed on July 19th of 2023, and service was accomplished by law enforcement on July 20th of 2023. At this point, since you were both represented, the petitioner will be able to go first because he bears the burden of proof in this case. By preponderance of the evidence that there have been acts of stalking committed and there's a reasonable likelihood of future acts of stalking. There are various legal definitions that I'm sure the attorneys have gone over with your clients and case law that refers to what that constitutes. And I will be considering that while hearing the evidence. So the petitioner will go first and then the respondent will go. And then once everything has been submitted, I will make a decision at that time. So Ms. Feynman-Sowers, is there anything we need to take up beforehand? Or Mr.
I don't believe so.
No, Judge.
All right. Just one moment. Okay, so at this point, Ms. Feynman-Sowers, you may call and swear your first witness.
I'd like to call the petitioner. Mr. Griffin, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to provide today is the truth?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, could you please state for the record your full name?
Adrian Griffin.
Okay. And what I'd like to do, Mr. Griffin, is I'd like to just have you tell the court a little bit about your history with the respondent. And first of all, what is your relationship with her?
Nothing at the moment. We used to be friends.
Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to November of 2022. Did your relationship change in that date or that month?
What documentation you have for November 22?
Judge, I'd object. I mean, he's clearly looking at a document. He's asking his lawyer what document she has. He can testify or he can refresh his recollection, but not both.
Ms. Feynman-Sowers?
Mr. Griffin? You should be looking at documents while you're testifying.
Okay.
If you can't remember something, then you need to say you don't remember. And then I can ask you if there's something you can look at to refresh your recollection. You can then identify what that might be. You can then refresh your recollection, and I can ask you, do you now remember? And then you can answer the question.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, did you and the respondent, was there a change to the relationship between you and the respondent sometime in November of 2022?
I spent the better part of 22 trying to dissolve the relationship. So around November, I would think that we weren't on good speaking terms.
Okay, was there a change in your relationship at that time?
I can't recall what particular event at the time.
Okay, did you tell the respondent anything about your position concerning your relationship in November of 22?
I can't quote specifically, but again, for the better part of 22, I wanted my space from Ms. Selgas. So
did you let her know that?
Yes, ma'am.
About when did you let her know that?
All year.
All year. Okay. So all right, so you told her in November of 22, what do you mean when you say wanted my space? What does that mean specifically?
Ms. Selgas has always solicited me for a relationship that I didn't want, but we were good friends at one point until things just started spiraling out of hand. And the narrative I continued to paint was, if we want to be friends, continue to be friends, I need my space to think about this for a while. Things are going way out of control. You're way out of control. And this is not a comfortable space for me to be in. I don't like it. So just at least give me my space. And she would not.
Doing that. Okay, I'd like to direct your attention to December 11th of 2022. What occurred on that date?
December 11th, we had been texting throughout the day, and a moment came when I wasn't answering my phone. And
hold on. What specifically were you texting?
It may have been about relationship related stuff, working things out, maybe visiting each other.
Okay. And
I wasn't for, and she began to call me, and I didn't answer my phone. And when I didn't answer my phone, she decided to arrive at my house and enter my house through my window.
And at that time, was she aware that you did not want to have any contact with her?
I would think so, be it that she came through a window.
Okay. And you didn't invite her to your house on that date?
No.
Okay. I'd like to ask that, I guess, Ms. Broom, if you could bring up petitioner's exhibit number 9.
Okay, now I'm showing 1 through 8. Let me double check. Yeah, we just have 1 through 8 that came through.
Okay. My understanding was it was sent. I will check on that if we could then hold that for a few minutes. Could you tell me what time of day this was, and give me some details? What do you mean she broke through the window?
It may have been around 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
She came to my house. Maybe she knocked on my door for a moment, but when she got no answer, she took the screen off and lifted the window up more so she can get in, and came through my window.
And did you observe her doing this?
I did.
And did you take a video recording of it?
I did.
Okay. And how did you capture that video?
When I heard the rambling at my window and I discovered it was her, that's when I got my phone to start recording. And the way my home is partitioned, my room is right behind this wall right here. I waited for her to come all the way in before I turned lights on to identify, so you can identify her in the video.
Okay. And so did she actually fully enter your house?
Yes.
And what did she do when she got there?
She just sat there and screamed at me.
And what did you do?
Record her.
And at any time, did you request that she leave?
Several.
Several?
Yes, ma'am.
Several times, yes. And what was her response?
I will leave when you give me my money.
Okay. And then how did she eventually get out of your apartment, out of your home?
I told her I'm gonna pick her up and remove her myself. And I positioned the camera to record all this. And that's when she got up and left by her own will.
Okay. And then I'd like to draw your attention to January 14th. Okay,
Yes,
so we got to another incident.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what happened on January 14th of 2023?
That'll be the first time she kicked my door down.
Okay, so she came to your home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
I saw her at
the door?
I saw her at an event earlier that evening. So we had been talking earlier that day, and the conversation was somewhat a calm conversation. She was speaking about working things out, being in a better place between her and I. She asked for sex. I told her if she came to my house with this conversation, part of the conversation was via text until she showed up at my house. She asked me for sex. I told her no. She said, please. I said, if you leave my house now, we can do it tonight. But I only said that to get her to leave my house. I had no intentions of doing it in the first place. And when she couldn't contact me later on that evening.
Okay, hold on. So she came to your house and then this was the conversation. Did she then leave?
She left, yes.
Okay. And you're saying later she came back to your house?
Yes, ma'am.
What time was that?
Maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe.
Okay, and what happened at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning?
She just kicked my door in, and when she kicked my door in that evening, that's the night she came in swearing. I was out from night of partying. I was inebriated. So she came in swearing and throwing things around the house. She destroyed my phone. She started a fire in my kitchen with a hoodie. She threw everything that wasn't bolted to the ground throughout my home, and started waving the knife around at me. And I was just way too inebriated to react in any kind of fashion. But when I had enough, and I felt my life was being threatened enough, for the first time in several years, I decided to notify the authorities, and she took the phone and slammed it to the ground.
Okay, and was your phone damaged when it went down? It was thrown to the ground?
It was.
Okay, did it work?
I had to have it repaired the next day. I had to have the screen repaired the next day.
Okay, and what were the costs for that repair?
$450 some odd dollars, about $450.
Okay. And did you call the police?
I couldn't.
Okay. And did you make a police report?
I did not.
Okay. And why is that?
I didn't want to get. I didn't want all this involved. I just wanted to go away. I didn't want none of this. To me, my thinking is, a person can get away with so much. They know they're in hot water. Maybe they'll stop this time. After all this and this and this, maybe they'll finally stop. So I'm thinking that she's got the message that she's really messed up this time. And she knows I'm not going to talk to her anymore, and she'll just stop.
Okay. So you
broke
said
into
that
my house. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Judge. We have number 9. I sent to you in the chat to let you know we have 9.
Oh, thank you. So let's finish talking about this incident, and then we could bring that exhibit up, number 9. All right. So she has a knife. Is she threatening you with the knife?
Yes.
How?
She's waving it about around me, just waving it, just saying all kind of off the wall stuff, just yelling, and tonight's the night, and yeah, it's going down tonight, and all these things. She struck me several times.
Did she strike you other than damaging the property? Did she physically assault you?
Yes.
Okay, could you tell the court how?
Again, I'm inebriated, so I'm just laying in my bed, just laying down. Oh, when she came into the house, she went cutting on all the lights and looking through rooms, and where's the other girl at? Where's the other girl at? Where's the other girl at? No one was there. But again, I'm inebriated and I'm just laying down, and she just came and started striking me while I was in the bed.
So was she striking you with the knife, or was she striking you with something else?
She was just tapping me with her hand.
Tapping you or striking you?
Striking me with her hand.
Open fist or closed fist?
Open.
Okay. And then eventually what happened? All this is going on. How did this incident end?
I recall her calming down eventually and just leaving.
Okay. All right. So then I'd like to, the door. And these will be marked as petitioners 2 through 6. Have you, you said she kicked down the door. Was there any damage to the door as a result of her kicking it down?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Broom? I don't know if you could please pull up petitioners 2 through 6, which are all photos of the door. Okay, and is this one of the photos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who took this photo?
I did.
Okay, and what date did you take this photo?
January 20th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so you took it a few days after the incident?
Yes, because it was nighttime and this is daytime. I think I took it the next day.
Okay. And does this picture accurately depict the condition of your door after she kicked it in?
Yes.
Okay, and I think that there may be other photos as well, different angles. Have you had this door repaired?
I did a patch job myself.
Okay, and what were the costs of your patch job?
About $200 in supplies.
Okay, so and did that fully repair the door?
No, the deadbolt isn't a secure lock.
Okay, and how much would it cost to repair the deadbolt?
Jackson,
it looks
Your
like
Honor, it's going to call for hearsay.
I have an estimate.
Jackson, Your Honor, that calls for hearsay.
you're muted, Judge.
Ms. Feynman-Sowers?
Well, hopefully it doesn't call for hearsay, it calls for speculation, actually, about how much
And
it
let
could
me
cost.
be clear, if we're, so it does if it's an estimate that someone else prepared.
Yeah,
I want to make sure we're not getting too into the weeds. This is not the place for damages. That's small claims court or a criminal case if restitution is ordered. So I don't want to go too, I mean, I'm hearing evidence that there's been acts that might qualify as stalking, but I don't need to get too into the weeds on damages because we generally don't make that determination in these kind of cases.
okay. So I'd like to tender into evidence, if there are no objections, petitioner's exhibits 2 through 6, which are photos of the damage to his front door.
Any objection?
Other than she's only laid the foundation for 2, Judge. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, you probably just need to test it. I mean, just give me something else on the other pictures, and I'm fine with 2, Judge, no objection. But I don't know about.
Okay, there's no objection to 2. If he can lay the foundation for 3 through 6, then we will tender them if so at that time.
Okay. Well, I only saw number 2 come up. They're all pictures of the door, so I think we can move on.
Okay, so
there may be one. That's the splinter. Can we pull up number 9 since Ms. Broom?
Okay, so you want to pull up the video now?
Yes, if I could, thank you.
Okay, hold on.
Appreciate it.
That nigga just legit broke into my house.
Yup.
Legit just broke into my house.
Yup.
I'm in the middle of a hearing. Did it finish?
It was the video I had was longer than that.
Oh, it
Yes,
might be
that-
broken into 2 pieces, Ms. Broom, because it was too large to be into one.
Okay, so that was number 9. What's the
There
other
should
one?
be a part 2 of number 9.
Part 2. Okay, let me go back and check. Okay, so that's the only 9 that's showing in CSC info.
Okay.
I have a 7 and a
Yeah, there's
8.
a 7, 8. Do you have
Yeah.
a 10? Maybe
10. No
that might be
10.
part 2 of number 9.
No 10.
Okay. All right. So with the portion of the video that's been pulled up so far, we'll try to get the other half of number 9. Who took that video?
I did, ma'am. I
You
took
did.
it.
Okay. And you had earlier testified that you took the video. And does it accurately reflect what you observed that evening and what
Yes,
occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there an objection to my submitting that into evidence?
No objection.
what's your objection?
I said no objection, Judge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank
no
you. I
objection.
think it got cut off. Okay.
Is that a Freudian slip, Your Honor?
It's admitted without objection.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to draw your attention to another incident. on January 19th, could you please tell the court what acts of stalking the respondent committed on January 19th?
I think January 19th was the evening where she came and wanted to talk, and I didn't really want to talk. So after so many frequent occurrences, I came outside so she wouldn't come into my complex.
Wait, we're talking about January 19th.
I can't recall January 19th. Can you refresh me?
Okay. Is there something that you could look at to refresh your memory?
Possibly, yes, ma'am.
About what occurred on January 19th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what would that be?
A written timeline of events that I've chronologued.
Okay, so that's in your petition?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you please look at that and see if it refreshes your memory?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, yes.
Okay,
so
you now remember what occurred? What
yes,
occurred?
So everything was a calm day. I had no interaction with her at all. And a couple of my friends contacted me and asked me what was going on with my social media account. What's going on with these videos that I was posting? Ms. Selgas hacked into my Instagram account and proceeded to post flagrant videos of us arguing, physical videos of us interacting with each other. And she also contacted several women friends of mine, slandering me, calling me all type of woman beaters and things of that nature.
How do you know it was she who hacked your Instagram account?
Because it's voice, her voice is on the account. Her voice is on the account talking to the women, saying that, I think I admitted it also, but she's talking to women saying that his voice notes, she's leaving them voice notes about he's gonna leave you alone too. He has 1,000 women, blah, 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 blah.
So she was leaving voice notes on your Instagram account?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you give her permission to do that?
No, I did. No, I didn't. She hacked in remotely.
Okay. Did she ever have access to that account at any time that you were in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And did you change the passwords or anything to protect her from entering and posting on your Instagram account?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do that before January 19th?
I did it winter of 2021.
Okay. I'd like to draw your attention to February 14th, if
Yes,
I may. What occurred between you two on that date?
I will have to look and refresh myself again, ma'am.
Okay, please do.
All right, guys, I'm just gonna have to step away for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Okay, I believe that my client was refreshing his recollection about what happened on February 14th of 23. Has your memory been refreshed, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, it was her hacking into my social media account. We spoke about that.
No, the 14th.
Can I look again?
Of February.
Can I look at my document again?
Sure.
So I am gonna ask that you try to recall your recollection rather than go straight from the document, because that is what testimony should be, okay?
Yes.
And if there's a specific, I mean, you can say around February, it doesn't have to be the exact date, but I need to see that there is some recall at this point.
I apologize, Your Honor. It was several occurrences grouped together. But,
okay.
So
could you tell me what happened in February of 2023?
The night of February 2023, that was you said February 2023?
Yes.
What day?
The 14th.
But object, Judge. I mean, it's gotten to the point where he either recalls or he doesn't. I understand that Ms. Sowers is trying to rehabilitate him, but I mean, we can't even give a date. We can't give an event. Dates are changing.
Ms. Sowers?
Do you recall any incidents between you and the respondent that occurred in February of 2023?
Yes, ma'am. On February 14th, I rolled over into the 15th. She called me late in the evening, approximately between 11 and 11:30, asking me, can she come home? And I replied, excuse me? She said, can I come home? And I said, you can go home. She said, no, Griff, I want to come to your place. Whereas I like it there, it's peaceful there, and I miss it. I said, you can't come. She ended up coming anyway. and kicking my door in for the second time.
Okay, what was her demeanor at that time?
Enraged.
Okay. And what occurred after she kicked in your door the second time?
She ended up leaving. I told her I'm not talking to her until I was called police.
You did call the police on that occasion?
I did not. I told her I would. I'm going to call the police, leave. And she left and just proceeded to argue with me outside. I wanted her out of the confines of my subdivision. The walls are light here and yelling and keeping neighbors up at night. I just wanted to isolate it outside at least. Okay. I had no desire to ever have anybody locked up and go through all these proceedings. I just wanted to stop.
Okay. And did any further acts occur outside?
She tried to hit me with her car.
Could you give me a little more detail? What do you mean? Where were you standing? How did she get in her car? Just, you know.
I'm standing on the curb outside of my
Where?
home.
Outside your home, okay.
Outside of my home that accesses the security door, the bit cipher door that gets into my hallway. And I'm just guarding that door so she won't bring all the chaos past that door. So I'm sitting outside monitoring her, hoping she'll leave. And as I'm on the curb, standing there, she drives her car up onto the curb, aiming it at me.
And what did you do?
Move out of the way it's a position where I can tuck myself down the fence where she'll hit the fence before she'll hit me.
Okay, did she hit the fence?
She didn't hit anything.
Okay, how did she avoid hitting the fence?
By braking, I guess.
Okay. All right. And then were there any further incidences after that on the 15th?
Not that I can immediately recall. Other than her and a friend of hers come to a local bar that we attend. That was last month. I'm sorry.
Okay, when did that occur?
June 21st.
Okay, so I want to ask you, I'm sorry, I guess I wasn't clear. Were there any other incidents in February other than her breaking down your door, trying to run you over with her car when you were out front?
No,
was there any contact from her in February?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What happened in June of this year?
She appeared at a local restaurant that I attend, and she began to harass patrons wearing my apparel brand.
Objection, Your Honor. I mean, this is hearsay if he wasn't present, or it's irrelevant because he wasn't proximate or anyone.
Okay, we're not offering it for the truth of what occurred.
That's exactly
if I could just have a little leeway here. This is really just to go to his motive as to why he filed this instant petition, given that the last incident was in February.
So he still can't testify about something he was not present for.
Right. Okay. That's okay. I get that. Mr. Griffin.
So I'll sustain the objection as to that question. You can try to rephrase.
Yes. Okay. So you testified that you've been willing to not call the police. You just want all of this to stop. You never filed a petition back in February after all the incidences that occurred since December. Why did you file this just recently in July?
Because of the hearsay that they won't accept into the testimony.
Objection. He said it. Hearsay.
I mean, I don't, so I'm going to sustain, I don't know. And it's not they won't accept, it's the law that I'm following as I am duty bound to do.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what the incident is. I mean, I've read a petition, but I haven't, I'm listening to, and I'm taking evidence right now.
Yes.
If there's any testimony from anyone who has witnessed this, I don't know. Was he present? Was he not present? I don't know what happened. But if it's, if there are any witnesses, they can testify about it. But otherwise, I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay. What, if anything, has occurred since February to cause you to believe that you need an order of protection at this time?
Constant harassment over the last 2 years.
Okay.
Of all the things I've outlined thus far.
Okay. All right. And do you have concerns that if the court were not to grant you an order of protection, that the harassment and the unwanted contact would continue?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions.
All right, Mr. Spiesman, you may cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Griffin, my name is Justin Spiesman. I represent.
Good evening.
Good evening. I wish it wasn't even, but here we are. I represent Ms. Salgus. I'd like to ask you a few questions. When did you first meet her?
I would say in 2008, maybe.
Okay, so you guys have known each other for a long time, right?
Yes, sir.
And you guys have had a relationship that has spanned many shades. You were friends first, right?
Yes, sir.
And at some point in time, you described it as friends throughout the entire relationship, but you'd agree with me that the relationship became intimate at some point in time, right?
Yes.
And over what period of time, I'm just going to close this door, did that relationship begin becoming intimate? Like what was the year or date approximately?
It became intimate, and if it was 2008, 2009 when I met her.
Okay. And that intimacy went on for a pretty substantial period of time, didn't it?
It was periodic. She didn't live in Atlanta.
When do you think the last time is that you were intimate with her? What year?
2022.
Okay. So 2022. And you're aware at one point in time she was pregnant with your child, right?
No.
You're not aware of that?
No.
Okay.
That's hearsay.
I didn't ask that. You know. Okay. Thank you for educating me, but you're not aware of that. Is that right?
No.
Okay. So the answer is no, you were not aware that she was ever pregnant, right?
She told me she was.
Okay. All right. So now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So at some point in time, she told you she was pregnant, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you were aware of it, right? You were aware that she told you she was pregnant, right?
No, she wasn't pregnant by me. No.
Okay. Are you a doctor?
I know when I slept with her.
Okay.
And the math wasn't math.
Okay. So she verbalized to you that she was pregnant. You just didn't believe her, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. When was that?
October 2021.
Okay. All right. So you classified the two of you as friends, but you'd agree that you were much more than friends over the course of your relationship, right?
No.
Do you sleep with all your friends?
Some.
Okay. All right. And at some point in time, you became business partners, right?
I have an objection. I don't know why this is relevant to. Actually, I'll withdraw my objection.
You guys had a business together. You're business partners, right?
I plead fifth.
So here's the issue. Are there any criminal charges pending?
None.
So that's the only time that you plead the fifth, sir. So you're going to need to answer the question, please.
No, sir. We wasn't business partners. She worked for me.
So it's your testimony that she was your employee?
Yes.
Okay. What was the name of your business that she worked for?
MF Griffin, LLC.
Okay. Incorporated, Secretary of State, all that good stuff?
Yes.
What does MF Griffin LLC do?
Is my creative LLC.
Okay. What do you do?
I'm a photographer and a videographer.
What did she do for you?
Clerical work.
Okay. And when was she employed by you doing clerical work?
2020, 2021.
Okay. You always sleep with your employees?
I haven't had a lot of employees, but for this particular case, yes.
Okay. All right. So we can agree that the two of you had a pretty long and drawn out relationship, and there were certainly some ups and some downs, right?
No, we can't agree to that.
What are you looking at?
My desk.
Okay. All right. So let's get into this. You indicated that she forced you into a relationship that you didn't want, right?
Objection. I think that mischaracterizes my client's testimony.
His exact words, Judge, were she solicited him for a relationship he didn't want. Word for word was his testimony. You're muted, Judge.
Sorry, I was trying to keep you on background. So I'm going to overrule the objection. He can answer it. And if it's mischaracterization, he can say so.
Okay.
What is your question, sir?
Testify that she solicited you for a relationship you didn't want, right?
Yes.
And you remained in that relationship in some capacity for nearly 14 years, correct?
Yes.
And during that time, you employed her while you were in that relationship, right?
Yes.
So it's your testimony to this court that she somehow was capable of forcing you to be in that relationship for 14 years, right?
Yes.
She forced you to have sex with her for 14 years.
The whole 14 years wasn't bad. I only had started having problems 3 years ago.
Okay. But that wasn't my question. She forced you to have sex with you over the past 3 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's your testimony alleging she raped you? Is that what you're saying now? She forced you to have sex with you. That's rape. Is that what you're alleging now?
I didn't consent to all the sex we had.
About how big are you? About how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay. Taller than her, right?
Yes.
Stronger than her, right?
Yes.
Bigger than her, right? Yeah, yes. But it's your testimony she continuously forced you to have sex with her against your will, right?
Yes.
How many of those times that you were raped did you report it to police?
0.
Okay. All right. Now you indicated that on December 11th of 2022, she showed up at your house, right?
Yes.
And she wouldn't leave, right?
Yes.
And you videoed her coming and going, but you didn't call the police, did you?
No.
In fact, it's your testimony you never called the police, right?
Correct.
Right. And so over the course of these 14 years of all these horrible things that she's done with you and to you, at no point in time did you ask for police intervention, right?
Again, we started having issues only 3 years ago.
Okay, so
No,
past 3 years.
Past 3 years.
Past 3 years, you never once called the police, did you?
No, I did not.
Never once thought that police intervention might put a stop to this, did you?
The one time I did, she destroyed my phone for me doing so.
So you did call the police that night?
The one time I attempted to call the police, sir, she destroyed my phone.
Okay, but you didn't call the police, did you? You attempted to, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. She eventually left on December 11th, 2022, didn't she?
Yes.
And at any point in time after December 11th of 2022, did you ever initiate contact with her? Ever?
Possibly.
Okay, so I try to live in the world of yes or no to the best of our ability. So after December 11th, 2022.
I talked to her several times after that.
Okay, and you initiated contact on many of those occasions, didn't you?
I can't confirm with it now.
Well, I mean, I have text messages and phone calls, so I'm gonna let you think about it. At any point in time,
I can't confirm with it now.
you can't remember, right?
No.
But it's fair to classify that it's likely that you would have called her after December 11th, 2022, right?
For some reason, yes.
Okay, and it's likely fair that you would have texted with her, right?
Yes.
And after December 11th of 2022, were you ever intimate with her, kiss her, hug her, anything?
What date is that?
December 11th, 2022. Did you ever kiss her, hug her, anything?
Probably hug.
Okay, all right. You always hug people you're scared of?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to January 14th. That was a conversation where you all, it appears that January 14th, you all tried to talk about working things out, right? It was your testimony that on January 14th, the two of you were speaking about working things out, correct?
Yes.
And did you guys see each other earlier in that evening at a club or anywhere?
Yes.
Okay, and you guys talked at the club, didn't you?
Slightly.
Okay. What club was it? MJQ?
No.
Okay. What club were you at?
It was an art event.
An art event. Okay. So you guys see each other early in the night and you guys have some communication about potentially trying to find some time to see if you can work through some of your differences, correct?
Incorrect.
Okay. You guys talk earlier in that night though, right?
Earlier that day.
So you talk earlier in the day and you actually tell her where you're going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You guys say yes or no.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you tell her where you're going to be on January 14th and you show up there and she shows up there, right?
It didn't happen in that capacity.
I don't know how. You both ended up there, right?
You're trying to frame my words. It didn't happen in that capacity. So I can only say yes or no. So that's not what happened.
Did you go to that particular art event?
I did.
Did she go to that particular art event?
You did.
So it's safe to say that you both ended up there, right?
That's not how you framed that question at first, sir. You asked me, did I
just asked you, look, I asked you a question. Did you both end up there? So yes or no question.
That answer is correct. Yes. Yes, it is.
That's great. All right. And then at some point in time after you guys, how long were you at the event together?
I don't know how long she was there.
Okay. And then at some point in time, she comes back to your house, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you specifically say to her on that evening, this is January 14th, if you leave my house now, we can have sex tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay. So isn't it reasonable for her, who's been intimate with you in the past, to believe that eventually you were going to meet up that evening and have sex? Is that a fair conclusion?
No.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Okay. So what conclusion would you have expected her to have when you said to her, if you leave my house tonight, we can eventually have sex? Like what should she have concluded there?
I can't think for her.
Okay.
What conclusion she can have.
Okay. But you were lying to her. Is that right?
Correct.
You were trying to trick her to just leave you alone.
To avoid a situation when she was at my house earlier.
Okay. All right. And so then at that point in time, she comes back to your house, right?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that that door was damaged prior to her entering it, wasn't it?
By her, yes.
No, this is January 14th. This is the first time that you say that she does any damage to this door. You would agree with me that door was damaged prior to January 14th. The door's messed up, wasn't it?
No.
Never. Okay.
No.
But it's your testimony that she comes to your door and she kicks your door in, right?
Yes.
And your door's deadbolted, right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware as to how hard it is to kick in a deadbolted door? Are you aware?
I'm no forensic scientist, sir.
Okay. So is that a yes or
Considerable
no?
amount of force.
So is that a yes or no? You are aware, you're not aware?
A considerable amount of force, sir.
Okay. And that night she was impaired, right?
Yes.
Probably didn't have her manifestations about herself, correct?
I can speak on her behalf, sir.
You saw her, didn't you?
Yes.
You interacted with her, didn't you? Right?
Yes.
Okay. And you've seen drunk and impaired people before, right?
Yes.
So was she drunk or was she not?
I would like to think she was.
Okay. It's your testimony that despite the fact that she was impaired, she's relatively small, and that door was deadbolted, she was able to kick that door clean off its frame, correct?
I didn't say she was relatively small, sir. I said she was smaller than me.
What was your answer to the question? It's your testimony that she's impaired, she's smaller than you, the door is deadbolted, yet she had the ability to kick it clean off the track, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now was that the night that you indicated that you were really impaired?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, when you filled out your petition, the way that you described that evening was, use the words, I recall from text messages. You remember writing that?
Yes.
Judging from text transcript, correct?
Yes.
And you said it like that because you were so impaired, you don't have a recollection of what the exchange was at the time, right?
I do.
Okay. So you indicated you were quite impaired. You'd agree with me that drinking a large amount of alcohol would affect your memory, right?
No.
No, doesn't.
Not in this case.
So now we're forensic scientists. Okay. So you're saying it did not affect your memory.
I'm not a forensic scientist, sir. I'm aware of my state at the time.
Okay. You described it yourself as extremely inebriated, right? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you were extremely inebriated, but you have a clear memory of all the events that occurred, right?
Yes.
Okay. Every last one of them, right?
Yes.
Okay. What was she wearing that night?
Jeans and a yellow hoodie. As a matter of fact, I believe she may have had on a denim coverall jumpsuit and an oversized winter jacket with possibly a furry cuffs and collar.
Now, the next incident that you indicated occurred was on January 19th. Is that right?
Yes.
And on January 19th, here's what I want you to do. When you look at your petition, where in your petition does it reference the date January 19th?
You want me to look at the petition right now?
Yeah, you can look through your petition. I might be missing it. Look through your petition. Tell me where it references this date of January 19th that you just testified to.
This is page 11.
Okay, so I'm looking at page 11. Point me to where it says the words January 11th.
Oh, that's my mistake. It says January 19th.
No. Whoa.
Sorry.
Judge, she testified. I mean, I don't think I need to get past this, but where in your, I'll change your question. Where in your petition does it reference this January 19th date that you just testified to?
It doesn't.
Okay. Now, you also indicated that on February 14th, you were at home watching TV and you got a phone call from Miss Salgas, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree with me, leading up to that point in time, you guys were communicating with one another, weren't you?
I don't agree with you.
Okay, so you're telling me that you never called her on the phone or you never texted her, even responded to a phone call or texted her in the month of January of 2023. Never.
We had a common frequency with how we communicate with each other, and by this time it wasn't that.
Yeah, but that's not my question. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but that's the answer. You're trying to frame a constant form of communication.
So, sir, just answer the question without telling him what he's trying to do. There was testimony on direct that you said that there were some continued communications, her talking about working this out in January.
Yes,
so, Mr. Spiesman, please just answer his questions. If you feel like he's trying to say it some way, you can say yes, no, or explain your answer, but please don't ask back at the attorney, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Did you talk to her on the phone or text with her in January of 2023?
That's possible.
It's a yes or no question. I understand what's possible.
I can't
Did
recall.
you or did you not?
I can't recall.
Is it strange that you can only recall facts that are actually beneficial to you, but seem to not be able to recall facts?
Objection.
Okay. What's your objection, Ms. Ms. Sowers?
It's argumentative.
I'm going to sustain that objection.
Okay. It's possible that you communicated with her in January of 2023, correct?
Yes.
It's possible you communicated with her in February of 2023, correct?
Yes.
It's possible that you saw her in January of 2023, meaning out in the public, right?
Yes.
And it's possible that you spoke to her and embraced her out in public, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And same in February. It's possible you saw her out in the public, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so,
no. February is no.
Okay. You indicated that she reached out to you and said, "Can I come home?" Correct?
Yes.
And you responded to her, didn't you?
Yes.
And then there was an exchange, wasn't there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you indicated that there was a constant pattern of harassment from her over the course of 2 years, right?
Yes.
You would agree that there were multiple occasions when you called her multiple times in a short period, right?
Yes.
I mean, there were times over that 2 years where you called her 10, 20, 50, even 100 times, right?
No.
Okay. Were there points in time over the past 2 years where you called her repetitiously? Let's call it 10 times in a row. Yes? Okay. Yes.
Yes.
And there were times where you called her repetitiously, even 20 times in a row, right?
I can't recall.
Okay. Wouldn't you agree with me that calling someone 10 times in a row without them answering their phone is evidence of stalking?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
So don't you think that if she wanted to talk to you, she would have answered the call the first time?
I can't think for her, sir. I don't know.
Okay. Did she? There were also physical incidents between the two of you where you put your hands on her, wasn't there?
No.
Never once?
Never once.
Okay. Never an incident where you banged her head into the wall?
No.
Okay. Never an incident where you committed an act of physical violence where Mr. Solomon witnessed it and was outside the home?
No.
Okay. You'd agree with me that you provided absolutely no evidence to this court that she's had any type of harassing or stalking communication with you since February of 2023, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
I could
Can
just
you
ask
redirect Ms. Ms. Sowers?
Yeah. So just to be clear, to your knowledge, has she had any, although she has had any contact with you since February of 2023? To your knowledge, has she done any, has she tried to contact anyone else in a way to harass you?
Objection, Your Honor. It would have to be hearsay because if he didn't personally witness it, then he would have to been told it by a third party. So if he can answer the question without hearsay, that's fine.
Ms. Ms. Sowers, what's your response?
My response is I'd like the judge to make a decision.
Okay. So I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay.
It's hearsay unless it's something he has direct knowledge of.
Okay.
Or comes in through another exception or exclude, but I don't think we're there. I've not heard of it.
I don't think we're there. All right. So I just want to clarify a few things. Was the door, Mr. Spiesman, like characterize the door as being clear off the track? Was the door clear off the track? After she kicked it down, did the door come off the track?
Are you asking me this?
Yes.
It broke the frame apart and some glass was loosened, and it's kind of hard to illustrate via video or photos.
Okay, so the door was still actually on its hinges?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and it would open and close. It was just the frame was damaged and the deadbolt no longer operated.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I had to repair the housing on the door for the deadbolt.
Okay. And again, I want to be clear, even though you've had a long-term relationship and you've been friends, you feel like you...
Objection, asked and answered.
I'm going to let her ask the question first, and then I will
Thank you.
make a decision. Go ahead.
Your position is that at least since December or the past couple years, you've been trying to end this relationship?
The intimate side of it, yes.
The intimate
Okay.
side. Okay. So did you try to make that clear to the respondent?
Yes, ma'am.
That you, okay. Were you communicating to her that you wanted to end the physical, intimate relationship and you wanted to continue the friendship?
This is leading.
Okay, we are getting into leading.
Okay.
You can ask him to explain,
Yes.
but I'm just saying the objection as to that.
Okay. Was it your intention to continue a friendship with the respondent after you told her you no longer wanted an intimate relationship?
I would have possibly been okay with it. It didn't have to happen.
Okay, and why were you willing to do that?
You know, people go through things in their life sometimes that causes them to spiral out of control. I've always been aware of her rage, and I've tried to talk to her about that several times before, but it's got to a point in my life where it was taking precedent over my life and getting into my affairs and affecting my well-being and my family, to where the point I didn't think I was going to be able to help the situation anymore. Us being around each other in the capacity that we were was making it worse. So it was just well enough to just leave everything alone.
Okay. And Mr. Sykes, I need to characterize your you making calls, like dozens of calls to her, 20 calls to her. How many calls did you make to her, would you guess, since December of 2022 that you initiated?
I don't know, maybe I don't know, 50 to 100.
50, and what was the purpose of you calling her?
I might have been calling her back.
Okay, and if you didn't want an intimate relationship with her, why are you calling her back?
Intimate in regard to sexual.
Yes.
But
if you want her to stay away from you, why are you contacting her?
I was calling her back from whatever she notified me about, or whatever question she had for me about. We still had affairs to separate. And sometimes she would contact me and, what do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to do with that? And it was all about logistics.
So this had nothing to do with your relationship? It had to do with logistics?
Yes, ma'am.
Logistics with respect to what?
Storages that need to be split apart and what have you.
What do you, like physical storage space? What? Yes, okay. So what else? What other logistic matters?
That's about it.
Okay, so she would contact.
Sometimes she'll call me for contacts.
For what?
Contacts.
Contacts. Okay. Contacts for what purpose?
Printing, production work, or what have you. I don't have a problem passing the number along.
Okay. So actually, you didn't initiate these calls, is what you're saying?
No.
She would call you about these types of logistical matters, and you would respond?
For the most part, yes.
At any time during these calls, did she try to solicit or reestablish the intimate relationship with you?
Not during the logistic calls.
Okay. But there was some times in January where you had discussions about possibly resuming your relationship.
A sexual relationship, yes.
Okay. And what point in time did you tell her you no longer were interested in a sexual relationship?
I've been expressing that to her for the better part since winter of 2021.
Okay. I don't know if we have the rest of exhibit number 9. If we want to do that now.
You said number 9.
Actually, this is on cross-examination. I should probably wait. Sorry.
So you want to wait? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm on redirect, actually. I'm sorry, Judge. I've never done an exhibit piecemeal. I know we were waiting on the other half of number 9. I can't hear you.
You want to lay a foundation and tender it, you may at this point if it's there.
Okay. Do we happen to have that, Ms. Broom?
He said the same number 9 that was sent over previous.
Oh.
He said the 9 and now I do have a 10. Maybe that would be it.
Maybe that's probably it.
Okay, let's try that.
Okay. And I forgot 7 and 8.
Okay, one moment.
Judge, I don't object. This is redirect. I mean, we're now getting into all these other exhibits that were never entered on direct examination.
Were any of these mentioned? I know not 10 was mentioned on direct.
10 was, I have no objection to that.
Ms. Feynman Sowers, can you give me some context about what 7 and 8 are?
Yes. 7 is actually audio recording of the respondent. It's only the first 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes that are relevant here. And
from around when? Do we know? Is what I'm just trying to get an idea of what.
I have the date on the exhibit. If you just give me a minute.
Actually,
I'm sorry, Judge. It's been I know.
Okay, so and I would know. I mean, your client had noticed since he was issued the ex parte about the procedure for submitting any evidence ahead of time and how to do that. Also, he needs to be able to say what these things are, not you telling him what they are. So
Yes.
I will let.
Well, I was asked. That's all.
Let's go to 10. Let's hold off on 7 and 8. Okay, before it plays, please lay a foundation with your client.
Okay, Mr. Griffin, I'm showing what's been marked as petitioner's exhibit number 10. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
And could you identify it, what it is?
This is a continuation of the previous video we was watching. She came in, sat down, and now she's justifying the reason she broke into my home.
Okay, and this is the continuation of the video where she came in through the window?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you make this video, the second half of this video?
I did.
And does it accurately depict what you observed that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any objections, Mr. Spiesman?
What evening was it?
Pardon me? Number 10. It's the rest of...
What evening is he testifying this occurred?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And when was this recording made?
December 11th.
Okay. Thank you.
Any objections?
No objection, sorry.
All right,
Okay.
it's admitted without objection.
Okay, could we please play the rest of the video?
To my fucking house.
You may
You out of
publish.
control, bro.
You didn't break into mine?
No.
Oh.
Fuck out of here.
The day you threw me through my window, you didn't break into my house?
No, I didn't break into your
You
motherfucking
came to my
house.
house uninvited.
I don't give a fuck. Did I spend the night over there? Why I spend the night over there? Because you didn't want me to fucking leave. Shut the fuck up. Leave. Leave my fucking house. I'm finna pick you up and throw you out this fucking door. Watch this shit. Because you can't do this shit. You wanna go home?
Okay, and this shows her then you actually did not pick her up. She actually left your home on her own. Okay. Mr. Spitzman, I'm going to ask if I can pull up exhibit number 7 and number 8, which are 2 video recordings of your client at this time.
When and what are they in relation to before I can?
I'd ask that she lay the foundation for a client for anything because there's such a lack of recollection. Number 1 and number 2, this was not brought up on direct. This is
Well, I don't know what it is, so I don't even know if it was brought up on direct or not.
That's fair, but I guess I'd ask for that she lay the foundation to her client.
Okay. So 10 was mentioned, 7 and 8, I don't believe were. I'm looking through my notes.
No, we talked about conversations, and these are actually 2 of the conversations on 2 separate dates that are in these exhibits.
Judge, my objection is there was so if you look at the dates on the exhibits, Judge, they reference 2 dates that there's been no testimony related to. There's been no specific incident or allegation of something that occurred on that date at any point in time in this hearing. And now they're trying to introduce them on redirect when he was not even crossed on these issues.
That's fine. I could bring them up at another more appropriate time.
Okay, well then I will sustain the objection at this time. All right, any other questions for this witness?
No, I have no further questions. No.
All right. Do you have any other witnesses?
Judge, I have like 3 important recross questions based on new information that was just testified to.
Okay, you may recross.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin, you testified that you called my client from December 2022 to present 50 to 100 times, correct?
I don't recall the date.
You just
Sir,
testified.
I would, hold on, just so we can get through this. Sir, I would just ask that you say yes, no, or I don't know, and explain your answer if you need to, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Spiesman.
When your attorney asked you how many times you had called my client from December 2022 moving forward, you testified that you called her approximately 50 to 100 times, correct?
Correct.
And is it really your testimony that every one of those 50 to 100 calls was you simply calling her back?
No.
Okay, but it's your testimony that the vast majority of them were?
Yes.
You always call back people that are harassing and stalking you?
No.
Okay. Do you always initiate calls to people that are harassing and stalking you?
No.
You indicated that part of the issue and the reason why you were all talking was because of logistics, correct?
Yes.
And that's logistics in the business, correct?
Yes.
Why are you talking to your employee about logistics in the business?
I don't know.
You
I don't know a specific conversation we're talking about, so I can't answer that question.
You said that you called her to talk about the logistics of your business, correct?
No, I did not say that.
Okay. You indicated that you were talking to and called her to talk to her about a storage unit, correct?
Correct.
Why are you calling employees to talk to you about a storage unit when it's your storage unit? You're the boss, right?
It may be information she know about.
Huh. Was she paying part of the bill on that storage unit?
At that time, yes.
Okay. Do you always make your employees pay a portion of the storage fee costs?
We were not working together at the time. She wasn't my employee at this time you're talking about, sir.
So she was your business partner at that time, right?
No.
Okay. Why were you sharing a storage unit with your non-business partner, non-employee?
It was her recommendation.
Do you always take recommendations from your employees and do them?
No, sir.
Okay. But this time you did, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you indicated and you testified that you were willing and interested in potentially having a friendship with her, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I got nothing further, Judge.
All right, any redirect, Ms. Simon-Sowers?
Yeah, just Mr. Griffin, why did you have a storage unit with her in the first place?
Ms. Selgas, when I was, it was several items in there she possibly wanted. And it got to a point where I couldn't afford it. And she knew about it and she offered to switch it into her name to save it from getting repossessed. So she put it in her name again. And she begged and begged and begged for let me just fix it, let me just fix it. I was gonna let it roll over. I was going to wash my hands of it. Well, it was her idea to put it in her name.
Okay. And it was her stuff in the storage unit?
My belongings.
As well? Okay. But she also had things stored there.
At the time, I don't believe she did.
Okay.
I had the storage for years. Once, every now and then she'll have some belongings in there, but at the time, no.
Okay. All right, that's all I have on redirect.
All right, anything else, Mr. Spiesman?
Nothing.
Okay, all right, any other witnesses, Ms. Simon-Sowers?
Nope.
All right, Mr. Spiesman, you may now present any witnesses and evidence.
Judge, before doing so, I move to dismiss and would ask the court to entertain a brief argument.
Okay, I'll hear from you.
Judge, they have not come close to meeting their burden in this particular matter. The evidence is so lacking of stalking that it's uncomfortable to me that we're even here. The reality is we've established that there's been absolutely no contact for nearly 5 months. We've established that. During the time that they were in a relationship, which spanned over 14 years, there was intimacy, there was an allegation of pregnancy, there was plenty of times where he could have walked away and he didn't. In fact, his testimony was there were times where he called her 10 and potentially 20 times in a row. There was times where he invited her over to his house. There were times where he saw her at a bar before they had any contact. He's alleging that effectively what this boils down to is there were 2 occasions where she entered his home without his permission. And on both occasions, after that, he reconnected with her, he initiated contact, he texted, he wrote, he called, he was intimate with her. There's absolutely no way you can allege that you were being stalked when you continue to reconnect like that. I don't think that there's substantial evidence that she stalked him. Surely there's things that she did that she's not proud of. I will submit that to the court. But at no point in time can he stand here and when he's the one continuously initiating contact and then saying at some points in time, no, I don't want to have contact today, but then tomorrow he does, can he move this court for a stalking order, especially when there's a 5-month lapse of any communication whatsoever?
All right, Ms. Simon-Sowers, you may respond. And I just do remind the parties, this is not a dating violence or a family violence order. And so I am looking at it under the stalking statute.
Yeah, Your Honor, there really is no time period, just because 5 months have lapsed since the last incident in February, doesn't provide the court a basis to dismiss this petition, just because he's waited 5 months to file the petition since the last incident of stalking. And actually, that's reversible error. He's not testified here that he's initiated the contact since December. He's this, you know, they've had this long-term friendship. He's trying to end things. He's trying to communicate to her, we'll still be friends. I really want to end the intimacy. She doesn't want to accept that. She, you know, keeps trying to initiate a new intimate relationship. They talked a little bit about it in January. She breaks into his home. She destroys property. She throws things around. She tries to run him over with a car. And I think he's just trying to be a nice guy, and just still, you know, trying to help her out, giving her phone numbers if there's a problem with the storage unit. But
here's the issue that the court has, is he has and even I hear, and this is why it's stalking. So I've heard evidence of crimes. There's no question about that. Yeah. All right. I've heard evidence of crimes. Someone can commit murder and it is not stalking necessarily. It wouldn't fit the definition under the Stalking Protective Order statute if that was the only crime. I've heard evidence of crimes. What I'm struggling with is I've also heard evidence that there has been contact initiated by the respondent and the petitioner during these timeframes. It's not like, and I understand why he has said that he's done that, but the law doesn't allow for someone to say, oh, you can have contact with me, but you're also stalking me. Mm-hmm. That's confusion. And the time that's passed since February does go to whether there's a reasonable likelihood of future acts of stalking. And that is weighed in that portion of my consideration.
Yes, it does. Yes.
So since there have been no acts before the court since February, and I have testimony that, and again, these things may be crimes and they could still be prosecutable at this point. I don't know if there are any charges out there, but I've certainly heard evidence of them. No, hold on. But that is one remedy for him. But again, under the dating violence statute or the family violence statute, I could find certain crimes and there doesn't have to be the mutual ongoing communication. And that's not a factor. Here, I've heard evidence of mutual ongoing communication. And I know he said that he lied to her and said, come back and we'll have sex. And she came back and may have committed some crimes allegedly. But it's not like he said, I don't want to have any contact. And she keeps contacting him. That's the pattern of behavior that is considered under the stalking statute. Now, here's the thing. Based on what's been presented to the court, I do find that there has not been sufficient evidence of stalking at this time. I find that there have been crimes committed, but I have not been presented with evidence of a reasonable likelihood of future acts, since there has been nothing presented to the court, admissible evidence-wise, since February of 2023. Also, per the notes and the information I have, there was continued communication after each incident of stalking alleged, and phone calls made. Even a return phone call is still an act instigated by a party who claims that they are being stalked. So I don't mean to find fault, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm just applying the law with the facts that were presented to me today. Now, if he completely cuts off contact with her and she starts to continue to have contact with him or come around him or threaten him or damage any of his property, then he may well refile and have grounds for a petition and a stalking order. But at this point, based on what I have heard, I do not have enough information to find by preponderance of the evidence that there has been a pattern of stalking behavior and a reasonable likelihood of future stalking. And that really mainly is on the basis that this is a stalking temporary protective order, and there has been evidence of continued communication between the parties mutual after each incident that I've heard about.
And with the court, I understand that, Your Honor. Would the court entertain a motion to conform the pleadings to the proof?
No, he can. Okay. Well, and I'm not sure. I mean, I've had the hearing. He can refile if he wants to. Mm-hmm. If there's further acts of stalk, if there's further acts, but based on the evidence that was presented today, which includes everything up until February, that on its own is not enough based on the evidence that I've heard and the mutual ongoing communication. And again, I heard why he did that, but the law requires more clarity between the parties for stalking to be found to be a course of conduct ongoing, because the other party has to understand that person is saying, I don't want you to contact me. So that's going to be the court's ruling at this time. The the attorneys are excused in this case. Sir, I will hear you. We will start your next hearing in just a moment. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Alex. You can sign off as well. You're not under subpoena.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.